Hey y'all, good afternoon. I am straight out the shower, so I've got wet hair. Um, I have no idea where we're fully going with this. I mean, I have some ideas, I have a lot of things I want to say, but I am just following the energy here because that is all we can do, especially in times like this with Mercury retro being so intense. And I realized something today. So I've been in the shit, y'all all know this, and I'm sitting here kind of like looking at all of it, right? Like zooming out, looking at the big picture, kind of piecing together a few like downloads and aha moments that have been coming to me throughout the day. And I realized the trigger, like the catalyst of what's happening now in this retrograde all started with something that happened the day I signed up to start working with my mentor, Lindsay, again. Like, we hadn't worked together in a while, and I just signed up to work with her again back in March, early March, or into February. And that day, I started seeing someone, I started dating, and now, all hell has broken loose around this thing. And I'm realizing all the things that are, feel like they're burning down right now were all of these safety and supports that I had in place that were keeping me from stepping into this version of myself that I wanted to be, that were keeping me safe and small and dependent on someone else, because the idea of being who I want to be is terrifying. She kind of scares the shit out of me, and I've been very hesitant to step into her in that space and that energy, even though it's something I deeply desire. When you think about the things you want and then you think about the resistances to it and the fear, it's like logically it doesn't make sense that we'd be afraid to be this thing, this person, this experience that we've been deeply desiring for so long. But the truth is there's all this other stuff that comes with it. There is fear around being that person and stepping into that energy. And so I was really feeling it this afternoon. And it's funny, the energy right now, I had a client telling me, she's like, it's like I have these moments of clarity and understanding and feeling good and better, and then it's instantly, or she starts off feeling bad, right? And then she uses her tools, she reminds herself that she's okay, she reminds herself that she's supported, she starts to feel better and inspired, and then instantly it's followed by more self-doubt. And she laughed after she said it, and I laughed when I read it, because that seems to be the energy right now. I know I've been there too. It's like these spurts of clarity, these spurts of feeling okay that you have to work to get to through the self-doubt, through the fear, through the shit, and then they're followed by more shit. And that's just where we're at right now. And you just have to trust that when we come out on the other end of this, that as long as you stay present with what's going on with you, and as long as you stay available to the shift and available to the transformation, then on the other end, it's going to start moving forward again, and you're going to be able to look back and understand this in a new way. And so there is a deep level of trust that we're being called to have right now, especially when we're being shown otherwise, that maybe there are a million reasons to not be trusting right now. We're being called to trust anyways, and to trust the process. And so I'm sitting here thinking, putting all these things together, and this idea of springtime comes forward, right? Of this seed that gets planted in the winter. And it's it goes from being, I don't know, let's say it's a sunflower seed, and it's sitting in the middle of this flower, right? And it's getting this sunlight, and it's this breeze and this fresh air, and it's amazing. And then someone plucks it, and it's oh my God, what's happening to me? It gets put in this bag, and then it gets put in the dirt and buried. And it's oh, this is it, I'm dead. I just got buried, and it's dark. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. I can't see the way out. I can't move. I feel stuck here. And can you imagine the panic? Think of being that seed that gets put in the ground, and it's freaking out. And then it starts to crack open, and it's so painful, and it's opening, and there's these things extending from it, and it's growing these roots and stuff, and it's what the fuck is happening to me? I'm supposed to be a seed. Why is all this stuff spilling out of me? What is happening? And then it breaks through the surface of the ground and finds the sun and opens up into this beautiful flower. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're cracking open, and we are so close to breaking through that layer of dirt, like through that top layer and getting to the sun. I truly believe the other side of this retrograde in April, like we will have a very different energy. If we are willing to be in the painful, dark, scary, uncertain space that we are in right now. Trusting that we are seeds and that we will be opening up and expanding on the other side of this, and that we're safe, right? It's part of the process. A seed cracking open and growing roots is good. That's like, it doesn't understand yet that these roots that it's growing, these things that are like leaving its body, right, are actually anchoring it to the earth. That is where it's going to receive its nutrients and everything that it needs to thrive and survive. And so that's where we're at now. It may seem like a lot of shit is happening to you or at you, but can you trust that it's happening for you and with you to bring you the things that you claimed, you know, these desires that you claimed at the beginning of the month? I know the first couple days after the first couple of days of moving into Aries season was a great time to like set intention. So I was encouraging everyone, like, you know, claim your big desires, and I was doing the same thing too. And then, you know, we moved into retrograde and everything slows down or moves backwards or starts to fall apart. You know, you may be experiencing some goddess Kali energy. You know, we talk about Kali in here a lot. She is the goddess of like destruction. She's the one who comes in and plows the field. And at first you're like, why the fuck are you ripping up all my beautiful green grass? When the truth is like, well, if you want flowers here, we got to tear up this grass and we have to cultivate this soil and make it ready for planting. So we set these desires. Spirit comes in and takes away what doesn't serve you reaching those desires or doesn't serve your highest purpose or the highest purpose of the situation for everyone involved, and comes in and is like, okay, well, let me clean this stuff out for you and give you a chance to create something new. And so we're not going to understand all of the lessons, you know, we're not going to understand all of the benefits and results of being here in this space until we're on the other side of it. And even then it's going to take some time. We're going to take some time to unwind the messages and start to integrate and understand them. So just be patient with yourself, be patient with the people around you, which I know can be hard when, you know, it feels like everything is happening all at once. And so, yeah, that was an image that came up that I wanted to share. And then let's see. Oh yeah, so there was this idea of, you know, I'm working against fear at the beginning of all this. Like when I started, I was feeling better, and then I like all the fear came back in, right? As soon as I was like, okay, yes, I can do this thing, and I put together this offer and I'm feeling so good about it. I sell one of them within like 15 minutes, and then I start to shut down, right? All the fear comes in, and I'm trying to move through it. Right? I'm trying to get, and actually I'm trying to move around it. I tell myself I'm trying to move through it. What we do is we try to get through the fear or figure out the fear. Really, we're trying to get out of that. We're trying to get away from that feeling and back into the good feeling. And so that we can start to feel like who we are and who we want to be. And here's the thing. Who you are doesn't have to be shiny and happy and perfect. Like when I'm talking about remembering who you are, it is not about remembering just the good stuff. It's about remembering that you have fear and that you have shame and that you have doubt, and you also have joy and you also have beauty and you also have courage, because you're not just one thing. You're not just the bright, shiny version of yourself. You're never going to be just the bright, shiny version of yourself, because that's only half your capacity. Like you are made to feel and experience so many things. So when you cut off half of them or you try to avoid half of them, you also dim the other half. So I made it a point to consciously sit in front of my mirror and go through my fear and acknowledge it and create space for it. And it's so funny, to those of you who watch This Is Us, they do my favorite energy practice and they call it worst case scenario. And I love it. It's Randall and his wife. And it's so, when they started doing it it's in the finale episode, I was like, oh my God, this is my favorite energy practice. And now I have a name for it. It's him and his wife. And what they do is when they're feeling like all the feels, they tell each other all the things, all the bad shit they're thinking but are too afraid to say. And so I sat in front of my mirror and I did that with myself in the mirror and was like, okay, I'm afraid that this thing is happening. I'm afraid that I'm making a mistake with this. I'm afraid that, and just went through all these fears, right? And named them. And instantly, the more I name, the more I calm down, the more I start to feel like myself again, the more I start to settle down and get grounded. And had I tried to get grounded in that moment, which I'd been trying for like an hour, it wouldn't have worked, because that wasn't what I was needing in that moment. And so if you find yourself trying to calm yourself down and bring yourself into this more peaceful, shiny experience, and you can't, lean into the shitty experience, lean into the fear, lean into the doubt, and name it out loud. And I mean, you don't have to do it out loud, but it's better if it's out loud. And you'll find that once you start, you just all this word vomit, all these things come out, and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea I was feeling that way, you know? Because before I know it, I've named all these fears I'm aware of, and then I have these fears that I wasn't aware of. Like, I'm so afraid that if I do this thing, if I'm able to come up with the money to pay my rent this month, then I'm going to have to do it every month because I know I can. And I'm like, oh, interesting point, you know? Because I'm looking at like possibly not having anywhere to live in a few days. And so you're going to surprise yourself. You might surprise yourself with what comes up, with the fears that come up once you get on a roll with this. And by doing that, you create space for them. It's like you get the anxiety and the self-doubt and the anxiousness. Sorry, someone's driving by my house real slow. Because that is like the fear and the self-doubt's way of like knocking on your door and being like, hey, I'm here. Can you let me in? I need to be seen and experienced. And so until you do, it's going to keep knocking at your door in different ways. And so that's something I invite you to do, is to just play worst case scenario with yourself and say all the shit you're afraid to say or think out loud. And you'll be shocked at how much better you feel. And so as soon as I did that, I settled in and was like, okay, I remember. I'm scared of these things. And then I started to name the other things I was feeling. I'm excited about the possibility of blah, blah, blah. I am, grateful for this, and I can see this in myself, and just started to name and experience and create space for everything. And by the end of it, I just felt so much more whole, so much more sane, and just like myself. I didn't necessarily feel high vibe and inspired. I mean, y'all can tell I'm like on here with wet hair, wrinkled t-shirt. Gus is taking a miracle nap. But I feel like me, and that's been the thing, and that's normal in a retrograde, to not feel like yourself. You don't feel like your life is. I had a friend text me. She's like, I just don't feel like my job is mine. I don't feel like my body is mine. I don't feel like my boyfriend is my boyfriend. Like, I don't feel like this life I'm in is mine right now. And so if you're feeling that, know you're not alone in it. It's a normal thing during a retro to feel that way. And so that's part of why I've made these sessions, these, I don't even know if I remember what I call them, revisit, review, and remember. I was like, remember is the most important term, so that's what I remember. But it's all about being able to come back to that space of remembrance in the middle of all of this. Because when you can come to that place in the middle of the shit, you are directing your energy to your truth and to what is true and real for you. And when you do that, when we move out of retrograde, you are going to be pointed exactly where you want to go. One of my favorite, those of you who've been in my group a while to be through a few retros with me know I love the bow and arrow reference for a retrograde. You can't, so if you take an arrow and you just throw it from here, like, it's not going to go very far. It's going to do a little something like that. But if you pull it back in a bow and you get all of this tension built up in it and you carefully aim at where you want it to go, when you let it go, all of that built up tension turns into forward momentum once you release it, and it's going to fly where you want it to go. And so when you're pulling that bow back, if you're sitting here thinking about how tense it is, it's going to be hard, and you're going to be shaking, and you're going to be reducing that momentum. You're reducing the tension. You're reducing the energy that is building up. So right now we are just building up a shit ton of energy to shoot you forward. And so what you have to do in that is relax. You relax the rest of your body. You have to get grounded. You have to really focus on where you're going and where you want this arrow to go. And you have to bring your full presence to it, because you can't do that if you're thinking about what so-and-so said or did, or what's not working out over here, what's not working out over there. But if you can come and be fully present in your body, and I'm assuming, I don't do archery. I'm famous for using references I know little to nothing about in real life. But I would imagine the best archers in the world are also like the best at being present, you know, and the best at being grounded and focused and relaxed while maintaining this buildup of energy. And then they can release that arrow and trust that it's going straight where it wants to go. And so that's where we are right now. We are in the pressurized point. We are building up energy so that we can go where we want to go. And that is the intention of these sessions. It is a 60-minute energy healing session where it's guided. We will dive deep into what you're experiencing now, because what's happening now is life is creating, spirit is calling up all of these obstacles to pull you back. So the quicker you run, the more obstacles you're going to hit. The more you avoid, the more obstacles you're going to hit. It's like gophers, right? Like popping up, trying to get you to come back, calm down, sit down, be present and available to what your soul is trying to tell you. And I will tell you, I have not been doing a good job. I have been running and dodging and evading and fighting. That has been the past almost 2 weeks of my life. And it's in these moments when I do remember that and I do come back to myself and I slow down, that is when life starts to work a little better, or things start to just happen and line up, and I am more at ease in the situation. You know, nothing about my situation has changed except my experience of it. And it's because in those moments I'm coming back to me. And then also I have included 2 energy clearings, because these have been, I used to do these all the time. These were one of my favorite things because I've seen how powerful they are. They're really simple. It takes 15 minutes. I do it from a distance, and it clears your energy, and it just releases the blocks. It gets the things out of your energy that aren't yours. It helps you to let go of the stuff that's not yours and all the shit that's kind of swirling around. And it brings a really grounded energy and a really calming energy and a real sense of wholeness and fullness, because you have room to expand into your space. And so I just received 2 of those from my teacher, from Lindsay, who I signed up to work with again. And I was just like, whoa, Lindsay must have just cleared. And I'd go look at my Facebook messages and she's like, clearing now. And it was like 15 minutes before. I'm like, okay, that's insane. And so I wanted to include 2 energy clearings because it really helps with the the intensity and with the acute symptoms of the retrograde, you know, of what is happening, so that you can calm down and slow down and come back to yourself and remember and make space for what you're experiencing. And ideally, what would be great would be to use one now, have your energy healing session, and then use one towards the end of the retrograde or after the retrograde to like help release anything that is still kind of sticking around after this. And then also a card reading. We'll start with a card reading specifically about your Mercury retrograde, like what the theme is, what you're learning, what's being pointed to, because that's the thing. All of this stuff is pointing, I promise you, at one wound, one space, one piece of you, one thing that is needing healing. And it looks on the outside like 37,000 different things, because it's 37,000 different yield signs or stop signs or go back, you know, do not pass go back to where you were, like go back to jail signs, because it's trying to call you back to this one particular place in your body and in your spirit. And so we will find that spot, and we will do some deep healing work so that we can work with the retrograde rather than against it, so that on the other side you can shoot forward and know exactly where you're going and have let go and done a lot of the healing that is required. I'm almost regretting admitting, like, because retrogrades had kind of become my jam. I'd gotten good at them, right? Which is a sign that it's time to go deeper, time to have another really tough one so that I can get into my work and do the next layer. Because I love knowing that as bad as shit is now is equivalent to as good as shit is going to be if I do my healing and if I stay present. And so the same goes for you. Like, there is, as much as you don't remember who you are right now, as confused or frustrated, or as much as you are hurting right now, is as much as you're going to feel like your whole magical, beautiful self on the other side of this. And I say this with deep trust alongside you because I am there. I mean, y'all know I've been barely showing up in here, and like, I hope it's giving people permission to find their sacred no, right? I hope it gives you permission to like not show up somewhere else. I was talking with my sister. I was like, I was like, I'm barely in the group, and I'm like, I have all these things I want to talk about and share, and I know people need support right now, but I was like, I'm losing my shit. Like, I've spent a lot of time like curled up in a ball. And my sister was like, yeah, I think it's kind of amazing though that you're not showing up and you're not like really like apologizing for it. She's like, I think it's great because then when people see that even you are like struggling and even you aren't showing up in the places that like are extra, because really this space is where I give of my overflow, and lately I've had no overflow to give. And she's like, it's a reminder, it's you doing your work and being an example of your work and what you teach. And I was like, opened up my heart, and I was just so grateful for her in that moment and for that remembering that that is what it's all about, and that that is the purpose of all of this. And so, yeah, if anybody is wanting deep support right now, I am available for that, because that is what helps me remember. When I help you remember, I remember, I think Kelly had said that yesterday on my post, and it's so true. Like, by holding space for healing for my clients, it brings me back to me and my purpose and why I'm here and what I'm doing and why I'm good enough, and the fact that this is the work that I was put on this earth to do. Like, this is my path, whether I want it to be or not. And I am fully in. I'm giving up so much to be in on this path because it's important and because I know it's valuable and it's what my soul is here to do. And I am trusting that I am deeply and divinely supported in that choice and in that decision. And so if you find you're somewhere similar, or you're having anxiety or overwhelm, or you feel like you don't know who you are right now, then I invite you to claim one of these four. We have 4 left. One of the 4 sessions. They are available until noon tomorrow, because I want to have time to get everyone scheduled before the end of the retrograde. So starting tomorrow at noon, this will be closed. So if you want this, definitely reach out, private message me. You can leave the comments here, or you can scroll back to my post from earlier today. I think like late morning was when I posted, and there's a link there and all the full details. And I thought we were going to meditate, but of course my phone's about to die. Isn't that how it always goes? Mercury retro. But I will leave you with a practice that I think can be really healing for you right now and help to bring you back into your body. And so the whole goal is just to come into your body and to have and when I say sensual, I was going to say a sensual experience with yourself. But sensual does not always mean a sexual experience with yourself. If you go to that space, that's totally fine too. But the whole purpose of this practice is to bring you into your body so that you can feel your body. So there's a million different things you can do. You can choose to put lotion on your legs or your hands or your arms or your feet. You can shave your legs. You can brush your hair, wash your face, massage your hands, anything that gets your hands on your body. And in the process, I invite you to feel your hands on your body. So feel what it feels like to like rub your hands together, and feel what it feels like, that different pressure and different touches. And notice, so if you have lotion on, just notice how the lotion warms up and how the lotion feels. Notice how it smells. Notice how you feel while you're observing this, and take some time to just get lost in being in your body. So breathing and touching and feeling. If you're brushing your hair, like feeling the hairbrush move through your hair, feeling the bristles on your scalp, moving it through each strand of hair. If you're massaging your face, feeling like the bones under your skin, or the muscles in your cheeks, or your lips. Just get as in your body as possible and just breathe and be with yourself. And then as you do this, any part of your body that comes up as a place to give some gratitude and some love. So you could start with like your hands. You'll speak out loud if you can. If not, it's okay. I love my hands. I love my hands because they hold my babies, and they wash my dishes, and they help me to touch and interact in the world. They, think of whatever comes forward and just name all the reasons you love your hands and love and give so much gratitude for your hands. And then you'll move to another body part, and so maybe it's your arms. I love my arms because of the way they hold people, because of the way they make people feel safe. I love my arms because they allow me to, wave and dance and whatever comes forward. And then I invite you to eventually make your way to your trouble spots. So maybe your belly. I know for me it's my belly, and it's okay. I love my belly because my belly grew a human, and my belly helps me to stand up and walk through this world. I love my belly because it digests my food for me. I love my belly because without it, I'd be in a bind. Like whatever you can come up with, and move through as many body parts as you want. So maybe it's just one or two. If you can't get to those trouble spots yet, I understand. You can even refer to like the energetic center that's associated with that body part. So if it is like your hands, it could be because this is the expression. This is where my heart energy flows out into the world. Or if it's your forehead, your eyebrows. I love my eyebrows because this is the center of my knowing and my remembering and my intuition, my ability to see and understand. I love my throat because it's my ability to speak and connect with others. I love my heart because it's where I find balance and love. I love my belly because it's the seat of my power. And even though it scares the shit out of me and sometimes I don't know what to do with it, I love it anyways. And I love my legs because this is my support. This is literally how I walk through my life and what holds me up and connects me to the earth. And you'll see, you can see my energy shifting just giving examples of it. And you'll notice that you will find a deep sense of okayness with yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for, right? Is a deep sense of safety and security and love and okayness within ourselves. And so I invite you to give that practice a try. If you want one of the 4 sessions left, definitely let me know. Those are available until noon tomorrow. If you have any questions about them, definitely reach out and let me know. And if you just generally want some support, reach out, leave a comment below. What could be interesting even is if everyone just wants to share what their gophers have been, your stop signs and your roadblocks, like what's been coming up for you, what's been trying to get your attention. I'll share some of mine in the comments below because it's at a point where I just have to laugh because it's the one thing that's been stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, stop, go, like over and over, trying to meet with my attorney. I have court tomorrow and I have not met with my attorney yet because it's been like, oh, my babysitter's car broke down. Wait, never mind, it's working. Oh wait, no, it is broken down. And then it's like, okay, we'll reschedule for tomorrow. And then, oh, no, okay, we'll let you know when. And then finally we scheduled and they call 15 minutes back later. She's like, turns out he has a stomach virus. Like he can't come in. I don't want anyone being around that. You're going to have to like bring your papers in. We'll send it to him. We'll be in touch with you. And it's just been, it's been chaos. And I just have to laugh because at the start of Retro, I was talking to the guy I'm kind of seeing and was like, telling him something. They had trouble. They were bottling that day. It was like the first day of Mercury Retro. And he's like, oh my God, we've had so much trouble with our machine. And I was like, I had a feeling it would be a bad day for bottling because Mercury is retrograde. And I was like, I'm also aware that I'm a crazy person for that statement. And then the next day, like my life blew up. And I was like, told you Mercury retrograde's a thing. So yeah, let's just even laugh in the comments about, all the Mercury retro type shit going down. Could be a nice spin on the energy. And yeah, in the meantime, I'm sending you so much love. And if you do try that practice, I would love to hear about your experience. And yeah, anything else you want to share in the comments is totally welcome. Sending y'all so much love.